the calendar invite I wasn't supposed to see. I make a living keeping other people's calendars from destroying them. If you run a company with 1,000 phones, I'm the ghost in the admin console who sees the meetings you forgot to make private and the files your intern shared with the whole world. I don't judge. I switch permissions, patch holes, and leave behind a log line that says someone who cares already cleaned up. That's why the invite caught me. Not because it was sloppy, but because it was perfect. It appeared at 11:06 on a Tuesday, a neat block on my fiancé's shared calendar labeled simply retreat, location offsite, RSVP accepted. I shouldn't have seen it. Arya shares only our personal calendar with me, the dentist, the dinners with her sister who never remembers to book tables, the occasional reminder to water the basil like I am responsible for photosynthesis. But she also works at Verity, a health tech company that hired my firm to stitch together their chaos after a merger. Part of the job meant a temporary admin token. One click too far and there it was. Arya's work calendar, tidy as a showroom, with a pale green rectangle sitting 3 weeks ahead like a dare. 2 days, a Friday and a Saturday. Participants hidden. I told myself a story about strategy offsites and spa robes. I told myself her team did this every year to align KPIs and detox from Slack. I closed the tab. I made coffee. I tried to make the basil feel seen. But the rectangle kept poolsing behind my eyes, and then, because I am the kind of man who confuses caution with care, I checked the event details again. There was a note I had missed. Block holds for N only the letter, neat, deliberate. N could have been anyone. Neighbors, new hires, nobody. But in the orbit of our life, N meant Nico. I met Nico before I met Arya. We were two freelancers at a laughable co-working space where the Wi-Fi broke every time a podcast host sneezed. He did brand for founders who thought a new font could fix a business model. He was also gravity with a jawline, and when I introduced him to Arya at a birthday party lit by too many candles and too much sincerity, the air between them changed temperature. I didn't mind. It was nice to watch two people I liked enjoy each other's sentences. I was even happy when Arya hired him for a Verity campaign, the one with the unflattering turtlenecks that somehow made health look rebellious. Then came late approvals. Then came inside jokes. Then came a lunch I was too busy to attend, followed by a dinner I was too tired to question. I still didn't mind. That's the problem with trust. It prefers to stay asleep until you need it awake. For 3 days I did nothing but reroute my suspicion into other people's crises. I rescued a VP who had accidentally shared a due diligence deck with the very company they were acquiring. I stopped a phishing attempt that could have cost a CFO his lake house and his second marriage. Each time the system pinged, I answered it. Each time my name lit my own phone, I let it ring out. On Friday night, Arya came home early and set a paper bag on the counter with the flourish of a magician. "Emergency dinner," she said, smiling. I tried to make the salad look like it came from a place with candles. She smelled like her office, the good shampoo they give away during launch weeks, the warm stress that clings to a collarbone. I hugged her, and she melted into me the way she does when she is still half at work. Over pasta, she told me about a board member who used innovation as a pronoun. I told her about a server that had opinions about uptime. We didn't mention retreats or letters of the alphabet. She laced her fingers with mine after dishes and said, "Let's not become people who narrate their calendars." "Deal," I said, and for the rest of the night we were the version of us I believe in: dumb jokes, shared screen time, a steady shoulder under someone's skull. In bed she turned toward me with that unhurried confidence I like too much. We took our time, never theatrical, just the kind of intimacy that knows which breaths are sentences and which are commas. When she floated down and tucked into my chest, she whispered, "You're home," and I kissed her hair like an oath I should have made out loud. The morning made everything smaller. Sun through blinds, coffee we had already ground, a sticky note on the fridge where she'd written "pack light, pack warm." She caught me looking and shrugged. "Team off-site," she said, casual, the way good lies go to church. "No Wi-Fi, I'll text when I can." "Where?" I asked, practicing not to flinch. "Catskills," she said. "There's a lake or a pond, something wet." For a man who manages risk, I'm unskilled at staging interventions. "You could invite him here," I almost said. "We could decide to be a different kind of couple. We could set rules and break them safely." Instead, I kissed her and carried her overnight bag downstairs and remembered the last time I had watched someone leave with a secret that fit in a zippered side pocket. When the car service pulled away, I went back upstairs and did the stupidest thing I've done since I learned to configure two-factor authentication. I followed the rectangle. Not with a car and a telescope, with metadata. I opened Verity's travel dashboard and looked for patterns. Who booked rides to Kingston, who reserved cabins north enough to qualify as retreat, who used corporate cards for places that believe farm to table is the same as expensive. The system offered me probabilities, not answers. Two clusters of bookings overlapped with Arya's calendar block. One cluster had 4 people and a reservation at a place with river and house in the name. The other had 2 names and an Airbnb somewhere that pretended to be private by calling itself a cottage. The second cluster's host name was familiar, an owner who had been flagged last year for scraping guests, photos, and feeding them to a curated community feed. I had written the warning. I had kept the note. The address of the cottage sat in a place my phone could reach. The drive took a highway and then a smaller road and then a private lane that believed in mud. The cottage appeared like a confession in a clearing, gray shingles, an honest porch, a view that made humility look easy. I parked far enough to pretend I wasn't there and close enough that I was. I told myself I would leave if I saw them. I told myself I only needed proof, not punishment. The door opened. Arya stepped out in a sweater I knew, hair in the kind of knot she makes when she's about to cook. She smiled at someone behind her and reached into a bag like you reach for an instruction you've memorized. A man's hand entered the frame with a bottle of olive oil and a clumsy kind of grace that made me want to be kinder than I felt. Nico came into view, barefoot, ridiculous, beautiful. He kissed her forehead. She tipped her face up to him with the sort of reflex a body learns before the mind votes. I left. I didn't take a photo. I didn't send a text. I drove until the shoulder of the road felt like an answer. Then I sat there with the engine off and my hands on the wheel like I'd been pulled over by a cop who'd been waiting for me my whole life. On Sunday afternoon, Arya came back to our apartment with wind in her cheeks and a smell in her hair that wasn't ours. She put her bag down and wrapped herself around me like home. "You were missed," she said. Then she leaned back and searched my face for the calm she counts on. "I saw the invite," I said, quiet, "because there is a register at which you can say a thing that changes its shape. I saw where you went." Her grip loosened without letting go. "How?" she asked, which meant why. "I'm good at my job," I said. She moved away and sat on the couch like it had insisted. For a long minute, we were 2 people in a museum looking at a painting that refused to explain itself. Then, "He makes me feel like the version of myself I thought I'd be," she said, "before I learned how to be useful." "You are not furniture," I said. "I know," she said. "That's why I'm telling you." "Do you love him?" I asked, because I am built out of questions. I love you, she said, and it hurt because it was true. I wanted to be angry. I wanted to throw a plate or a sentence. Instead, I asked the only question that could keep the room from breaking. What happens now? She looked out the window to where our neighbor's fig tree was practicing being dramatic. We stop pretending we are too good for the lives we want, she said, or we stop needing lives we can't keep. We did not sleep much that night. We didn't touch. We lay on our backs like a pair of truths waiting to be told. In the morning, she made coffee and put down 2 mugs and said, "I'll move to my sister for a bit. You can throw away whatever is easier to throw than keep." Then she went a pack, and I opened a blank document and tried to write a plan that included the part where I still felt my body know hers by muscle memory. While I stared at the cursor, my phone vibrated. An email I had sent 6 months ago had bounced back from a full inbox. The address was the cottage host. The subject line was, "Please stop scraping your guests." In a fit of administrative boredom, the host had forwarded me their automated photo feed. I clicked before I remembered I didn't want the world to be efficient today. The first image was a still of the porch I'd fled, empty but for 2 wineglasses. The second was a blurry frame of a man's shoulder, a woman's hands lifting a sweater. No faces, nothing obscene, just the kind of physical fact that made imagination unnecessary. The third was a reflection in the cottage window, Arya's profile lit by late light, Nico behind her, a soft geometry that will sit on my tongue forever. I closed the laptop. I stood. I walked to the sink and turned on the water like I was washing something I would never be able to clean. Arya came out with a suitcase and our basil because mercy is a habit with her. She saw my face and didn't ask. "Please don't revenge yourself," she said. "That's how people stay stuck." "I know," I said. "I know how to move." She left. The apartment rearranged itself around the absence. For a week I moved through my work like a person underwater, slow and precise and by the book. I wrote a memo to Verity's leadership recommending they stop storing staff travel details in shared systems, and sent a private note to the cottage host with a threat so calm it should be framed. I blocked 3 spam campaigns, a ransomware probe, and my own impulse to text Nico and ask him what his plan was when the light became ordinary. On Friday, he emailed me first. Subject line: "I will meet you." Body: the name of a coffee shop near the park and a sentence that sounded like someone who had practiced being decent. I went because I wanted to be the man who said the thing that made this worse for no one. He was early. He had the stride of someone who likes being first. He bought both coffees and left them untouched. When I sat, he said, "I didn't expect you to come." "I didn't expect to be invited," I said. "She loves you," he said. "She loves you," I said. He nodded, an admission and a bruise. "She told me how you hold a room without making it smaller," he said. "She told me your jokes arrive like chairs. She told me you make her feel like she still lives in acres of sky," I said. We smiled at each other because sometimes the only kindness available is to agree that the person you are about to disappoint is not a villain. "I won't fight you," he said. "I won't win." "Me neither," I said. "This isn't that sport." "What is it?" he asked. "It's the part where we decide if we are worth whatever we ask her to become," I said, "and if she is worth whatever we are ready to lose." He exhaled. "I'm not built for halves," he said. "I'm not built for triangles," I said. We left without touching. In the park, a saxophonist did embarrassing things to Summertime and made 2 strollers clap. I went home through streets that felt like they belonged to better men. That night Arya called. "I can't do both," she said. "I thought I could, I can't. I'm not auditioning you against each other. I'm auditioning myself. And the role, I asked. The one where the future isn't a secret, she said. I want to be honest at breakfast. I want to be bored on purpose. I want to miss something because it's mine. Who do you choose? I said, and my mouth was dry. You, she said, and I sat down because standing would have been too dramatic for our kitchen. If you can forgive me in motion, not all at once. The way good code gets rolled out, incremental with rollback if needed. She laughed, a small sound that had saved me many times. Look at me, talking about us like software. Whatever works, I said, and I meant it like a prayer. We built a plan the only way we know how, a series of small, explicit commits. No pretending the cottage didn't exist. No asking the other to heal faster than the bruise. Weekly check-ins that were not performance reviews. Dates that were not apologies. When she moved back in, she brought a plant that doesn't need much and a note taped to its pot that said, "Water when curious." We put it by the window where the fig tree pretends it is Mediterranean. Once in the middle of a Sunday that looked like we had rehearsed it, she said, he wrote me a goodbye, not a letter, a playlist. It began with songs that tasted like lake air and ended with music quiet enough to walk away to. We listened to the first track together. We let it end. We put on something we both loved before any of this and cooked eggs and remembered how to talk about grocery lists. I revoked my admin token from Verity the day her retreat block would have appeared on my screen again. I don't look at her work calendar now. She doesn't look at my task queue after hours. We treat our tools like what they are, useful and hungry, and we feed them what they need and no more. Sometimes in the evening, when the basil is finally thriving, and the plant with the note is doing its quiet miracle, and the city hums like a machine we have decided to forgive, she will stand between my knees and tip her face up in that reflex I thought I had lost. We kiss the way people do who are choosing, not being chosen. It is not cinematic. It is specific. Her wrist under my thumb, the hit she can't help when my mouth finds the place her jaw learns to soften. The way we know when to stop because stopping is a way of saying yes to tomorrow. We are not redeemed. We are in progress. I still keep calendars from ruining people, but I keep hours by hand on the inside of a cupboard door, penciled lightly, easy to change. On the first Friday of every month, there's a block called Lake. And sometimes it is a walk to the reservoir, and sometimes it is ice cream on a bench, and sometimes it is us in the kitchen listening to nothing and being on purpose, off-site. The rectangle that broke me is gone. In its place is a series of small squares we color in with ordinary ink and unremarkable intention. When I look at them, I don't see a code. I see a future that belongs to people who decided to be boring in the bravest way.